Good afternoon and Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the 2021 3D Virtual Amortization Career Fair. Our panel discussion today is on amortization in 2021. But before we start the discussion, let me introduce you to our panel members. We're honored to be joined by Sarah Shaw, who is the head of Section Strategy Department at the Executive Office and head of Programs Management at Mohammed bin Rashid Center of Leadership Development. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you very much.
We're also joined by Alia Alnuaimi, who is the Diversity and Inclusiveness Lead Consultant at EY. Welcome, Alia.
Thank you very much, Dinesh. Thank you so much. My pleasure to be here today.
It's great to have you guys here, and thank you so much for making the time out. So I'm going to jump into the obvious question, which a lot of members have asked, and most of these questions have been submitted by the participants who are joining the event today. The first question that most of our members have asked is, why should companies in UAE seek to invest more in recruiting and developing Emirati talent? So anyone can start and have a go at this.
Okay, maybe I'll take the start on this one. I think the concept and the topic of amortization has been a hot topic, I think, for the last, I'm going to say it, 20 years. We've had a lot of growth. We've had a lot of changes as a nation. And I think the proof is in the pudding. If we look at the simple yet great example of the Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center, that is predominantly an Emirati-focused organization, it took the mannerism of making sure that it is a national effort to put our probe into Mars, a high agenda from a nationalization and Emiratisation perspective. The model they followed was learn from the world, adapt to our context, create a capable national team, and incentivize the pride and spirit of the nation within those Emiratis. So I think from simply that perspective, and one other caveat is organizations that are multinational and exist in Dubai have become friends of Dubai. And Dubai considers itself, as His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum always says, a company, and he is the CEO. So when you become friends of Dubai, you become friends with Dubai in its prosperity, you become friends with Dubai during its down turns, especially in the 2008 financial crisis or COVID-19 in 2020. We take care of our friends. And I think that's something that multinational companies can really learn from. And also we look at it as a form of national service from these organizations that benefit from the infrastructure, the services, the government development, the capabilities that the government and leadership of Dubai in particular, I'll speak here on Dubai's behalf, and they should be able to give back, right? And one of the best ways to give back is empowering and enabling the people of this country to really be the best versions of themselves and contribute to these multinational success here in Dubai and potentially even in the region.
Okay, Alia, do you want to add anything to that?
I think Sarah has covered the main aspect, but coming and seeing, because my background was semi-government and then I moved to a private sector, the amount of investment they have invested in me really added value, not just me as a person in a corporate world, but even personally. And I started to notice the shift in personality, the shift in perspective and trends and the methodologies or the way how I think or how I speak as well. And the fact that today I feel that I have been acknowledged and I have been empowered and I have been given a platform to improve, the level of giving back to the community have increased in me. And because it's like a domino effect, you know, it's like a cycle, it's a circle going back and forth. The more you give, the more you empower, the more you build a legacy in a national, the more you would see this country growing. And to add on that is that we all know that the nationalization is a hot/sensitive topic, I could say. We are the least But we have this passionate attitude on how we would like to be part of the growing in this country. So this is what I would like to add in Sarah, and this is the importance on how we should focus on nationalization. And not to add that they're very smart, super smart.
Yep.
And this is what I've noticed in the past year at EUI. It's just the culture differences that might not allow them to notice that. However, they are committed, they are active, they are proactive. And I noticed something because they come from a tribal background, I would say, if that's how we see it. There's a specific way and specific keys. If you use them right, you're going to unleash the potential in them. And that's the way how you can create a legacy or successful national out of it.
Okay, great. Well, this is the perfect lead to the second question, which is how does employing local UAE national talent improve the bottom line?
Sarah?
Please, Alia, if you'd like to go ahead with this one.
Okay.
I mean, have you seen that in your organization, that employing local talent can improve the bottom line? Do you see how does that work? Both in medium term to long term versus in investing or employing expats?
To say it very straightforward, we've been hiring a lot of nationals, but the result is that they've been being headhunted by government and not our competitors, which means we've been doing a great job in upskilling them, which means they are turning into high performance and elite nationals. And government is aware that the government is aware about their capabilities and what they can deliver in the country. I think this is a huge sign with us, which, to be honest, is struggling on our retention, that I want them to stay in EY for a longer term, for them to learn more, and then they can fulfill and give back to the community.
Absolutely. And I would add to Alia's point, which is extremely valid, that in most nations, you find that government or public servants are not paid as handsomely as private sector, whereas here in the UAE, the tables are very much the opposite of that. So the question, I guess, could also be phrased in a different way, which is, what value added do organizations get above and beyond the bottom line when hiring nationals? I think with the expansion of the Saudi market, especially with their 2030 and phenomenal vision with NEOM, there is a great opportunity for multinational organizations to benefit from contextualizing their services and their capabilities to the local area of the Gulf. And I think Emiratis bring great cultural affinity and sort of creating those rapport building efforts during negotiations, during pitches, or whether they're consulting jobs that really add phenomenal value to the sustainability of businesses in those multinationals. You could look at it from the manufacturing perspective, fashion, media, hospitality, you name it, right? And having been somebody who trained over 700 nationals in the beginning of my career to work in the hospitality sector, I saw that, like Alia said, the biggest challenge that was faced was a cultural challenge. It wasn't about capability. Language was an issue, yes, but it was predominantly a cultural challenge. And I think the more we shed light on both sides of the coin, which is the predominantly non-national workforce that exists in the private sector of the UAE and the national workforce that exists predominantly in the public sector. And some few that want to be part of the private sector. How do you create an environment that is diverse and yet inclusive and allowing and permitting for those cultures to exist simultaneously? We've done it at a social level, so the country allows and is very tolerant to that, but I think we need to create organizations and ecosystems within them that mirror that capability.
So leading to that answer, I've got a two-part question. So first part is, what do organizations need to do to improve the current Emiratisation or recruitment practices? And after that, I'll come to the second part. So let's look at the organizational perspective. What do they need to do to improve the Emiratisation practice?
In terms of recruitment, the way I was recruited, to be honest, let me tell you my story about that. I was shocked that I finished my interview for 3 times, 3 different panels. And I was like, that's it. We just had conversation and we were laughing. There weren't questions, were like very direct, very firm, where you have to think about it. And what I noticed within EY, which I really appreciate, is that they focus on potential, they focus on passion, and they focus on personalities and charisma. Yes, certain certification on specific service lines are required, but that does not mean that the person cannot learn throughout their journey. We are being specific, we are being picky, but we are allowing a lot of CVs to come in, and we are allowing at the maximum. That's in terms of recruitment, but I forgot the other half of the question.
I'll come back to the other half.
Okay.
Sarah, do you want to add anything from the organizational perspective?
Absolutely. So in terms of what do organizations need to change within themselves to either attract or to retain UAE nationals, I think it's split into 2 main segments. I think nationals need a better awareness of what industries have to offer. We're so used to going to the regular, standard, straightforward track as a community. So our parents almost half expect us to work in government most of the times. So building that awareness of what's available in the market to them that they might not be aware of, because they're listening to a very small group of less than 1 million nationals, right, in this country, and they're not really engaging or discussing their future with nationalities that are very diverse in this nation, right? So they're taking their advice from the same group. They're not really taking advice from a very diverse group. So building awareness about what's available. The second piece, and this is mainly to the corporations, I would say having policies that integrate a national who has been used to, up to the age of maybe 22, 23, a predominantly UAE national environment. So from school to university, home, they probably had very minimal interactions with other nationalities because of our public school system, our higher education, whether it's FCT or Zayed University. They've never really interacted with other nationalities. They might even be very little awareness on the different cultures. What's okay in one culture might not be okay in another. So there needs to be a really strong 3 to 6 month integration program for Emiratis into the business. Yeah. And again, this is a 2-sided coin. The non-nationals in that corporation need to be aware about the national culture. And it's not the stereotype. It's not the coffee, the tea, the dates. I'm talking about real cultural norms. What is expected? What is acceptable versus not? Yeah. And that requires somebody like Alia's role to really make sure that that happens. It's not just a typical orientation, here's the business, here's what we do, but a real cultural integration. So that to me is the response to the question that I would like to add to what Alia mentioned as well.
I'd also like to add on Sarah's point, because it's a very critical point going back to culture. Like within EY, I have created and initiated a cultural awareness piece purely about nationals. And it's purely puts main pinpoints, like how should you give a feedback to a national? What are the questions to use when you give a feedback? How to build a relationship with the nationals? Be aware nationals are indirect communicators. They wouldn't tell you directly because this is how we were raised. And educate them that we are the first generation in private sector. Like our parents are not, or I won't say majority, like are not aware about the culture and the private sector. And I'll give you a very simple example. My mom was shocked that I applied for a private sector. And she's like, why? Go to government, it's more comfortable. But who told her that government is comfortable? Because today my siblings are working in government and they are working extra hours, and this is the new norm. So the nationals at a younger age, they need to know and be more aware about what's the new norm, because government entities before are not like today. Today they're advanced, they're well educated, they are aware, they need to give a lot back to the country. And starting early with them, I feel since high school, not a typical day, open day, and hello, this is this is what to accept, but like have a coaching sessions, have a mentoring session. Like, why isn't coaching in schools? We use coaching heavily today, especially with counselors and nationals today, because we can identify the gaps. It's huge, it's very huge. But to minimize it is a simple task, very simple task.
So the second part of the question is related to nationals and seeing how many people are watching right now at the virtual event live. What is your advice to the nationals who are applying to the jobs? How should they be noticed? How should they get noticed? How should their application be considered on the top of the pile? Because when you post jobs, you get hundreds of applications. How should people stand out when applying for a job?
Okay. Before aiming to stand out, like I would love to give them an advice is do not worry if someone rejected you. This is the main thing. It's okay if you don't know what you want. You didn't explore anything. And listen to your gut feeling. This is the first thing I would say. Listen to your gut feeling. Explore, apply here, go there, 9 months. You didn't like it, move, change. Because at the end of the day, you won't know till you try. This is the first thing. But the main advice I would share is that try to find your personal brand. Try to find what you're passionate about. What do you want to show? What do you want to show the recruiter? And this is how you can sell yourself. Because if you would go on paper, I can write so many things that I'm good at. But what I love coaching. I love nationalization agenda. I love these things. It gives me chills. I enjoy doing it. So what do you enjoy? Show them what do you enjoy the most, because once you're aware what you enjoy the most is, and I assure you, is going to be the path for you where you're going to succeed and excel effortlessly.
Sure.
And I'd add to that, I mean, sorry, I'm excited here while you're talking, Alia, and you're speaking my language, which
Please
is
go ahead.
amazing. I think one of the main questions that I find many nationals are unable to answer, and I can even say this is about the young generation at large. Who are you? What do you stand for? What do you enjoy doing, as you said, Alia? And a lot of them have not taken the chance to really explore themselves to create that self-brand. So to me, if you have an opportunity where you might be, and I'm not saying this is the case for everyone, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year without a job does not equal a failure, does not equal incapability of getting or finding a job. Maybe the right job hasn't come around yet. So take that time to really think about who you are, what do you want to do, how do you want to do it, and then start doing it. Experiment, fail fast, learn fast. As Alia said, most organizations now are more interested in how you are agile in learning, because it shows that you can adjust and adapt to changing environments, which is the world we live in. We live in a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world, which is VUCA. There is a real opportunity for you to go out there and try to fix a problem. Because once you fix a problem, you can talk about how you solutionized, how you came up with something that somebody saw was of value, no matter how small or how big. And when you walk into an interview, you can say, if you want to ask me what was the problem I solved, here it is, and this is how I did it. But if you didn't do that, you have nothing to talk about. So go for interns, do things pro bono, think about entrepreneurialism if that's something that you're interested in. Talk to your parents, talk to somebody outside of your community. Go out there, really explore, be somebody with eyes that are curious, both about yourself and the world that you live in. That would be my advice to them, to be very honest.
Oh,
And I would add one more thing, Sarah, is
please.
please be patient. Patience is a virtue, because millennials in general, and we can consider us like one of them, we want to progress fast. We want the next fast. So we forget to live in the now. We forget to live today. What are we doing today? And worry about the future, which is by the way is going to stop you from progressing. And again, sharing my story, it took me 10 years of working experience to be aware of, okay, I love this and I want to do this. And it's fine. I don't feel that I'm late. Yes, my colleagues have progressed higher than me. They have achieved a lot of things. I'm happy for them. But this happened for me at the right time, at the right place. And it just needed courage. It needed curiosity. Like, what exactly, as Sarah said, who am I? What do I love? What do I want to do? Trying here, error, failing here. And all these things, all these trials will shape your personality at the end of the day.
And if I can add on top of being patient to yourself, also be kind. We are our worst judges. We say, oh my God, I should have been, I could have been, I would have been. You are. God has a better plan for you. Trust the process. Just take it easy. Yeah.
Okay, great. We've heard some great advice from both Alia and Sarah. And this concludes our panel discussion. We would like to thank you once again for joining the panel discussion, Alia and Sarah. We would like to thank the audience that have joined the career fair. I hope you are able to find and connect with the right employers. You're able to find the right career opportunities in 2021. And all the best during the career fair. Network, reach out, enjoy, explore, and have a good time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dinesh.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alia.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Dinesh.
Bye-bye.